They left my brother everything: the controlling shares of a billion-dollar company, the estate in the Hamptons, a stock portfolio large enough to buy a small island. And me? I got an old painting, a dusty landscape of a forest with a chipped frame that my brother laughed at and called garage sale trash. "Don't worry, sis," he told me, patting my shoulder with that fake, condescending pity. "If you get desperate, you can probably pawn it for $50. I believed him. I really believed my parents hated me that much. Until that night when the moonlight hit the canvas just right, and I saw strange geometric shapes glowing inside the trees. It turns out that worthless painting wasn't trash. It was a map, and it led to a secret so dark it had the power to topple the entire empire my family built on lies. My brother thought he had won the jackpot. He had no idea he just handed me the key to his own destruction. Welcome to the story of how a $50 painting helped me take down a corporation and get justice for my mother. My name is Sarah Bennett. And if that last name rings a bell, yes, I mean Bennett Industries, that massive tech giant whose logo is on everything from smartphones to medical equipment. But to me, Bennett isn't a symbol of innovation. It's a symbol of cold-hearted greed. I grew up in the shadow of my older brother, Marcus. Marcus was the golden child. He was ruthless, business-savvy, and a carbon copy of our father. Me? I was the artsy mistake. I loved art restoration and history, things my father called useless hobbies that don't make money. The day the lawyer read my parents' will was the coldest day of the year, literally and figuratively. The office of Wilson and Associates smelled like mahogany and old money. Marcus sat there, spreading his legs, taking up space like he already owned the building. He winked at me. "Ready to be rich, Sarah." Mr. Wilson, an ancient lawyer with thick glasses, began to read. To my son, Marcus, for his tireless dedication, I leave the controlling shares, the real estate portfolio, the trust funds. The list went on forever. Marcus smirked, nodding along like he was checking off a grocery list. Then came my turn. To my daughter, Sarah. We leave the painting Autumn Twilight, currently hanging in the study. The room went dead silent. "A painting?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Just one painting?" The lawyer looked at me with pity. "It was your mother's specific request. She said she loved looking at it." Marcus burst out laughing. It was a loud, cruel sound. "Oh my God, Sarah! That old thing? Mom bought that at some random art fair 10 years ago. It's probably not even an original. Tell you what, I'll be generous. I won't charge you for the gas it takes to haul it back to your apartment." I left with the painting wrapped in an old blanket. Driving back to my tiny apartment in Brooklyn, I felt like I'd been slapped. It wasn't about the money. I never cared about their money. It was the message. You are worth nothing to us. When I got home, I hung it on my living room wall. It was an oil painting of a forest at dusk, beautiful but odd. There were tiny geometric shapes, triangles, squares, faint strings of numbers, hidden cleverly in the orange and red leaves. My mom loved puzzles, but I never understood why she stared at this painting for hours in her final months. That's when Margaret, our old housekeeper, called me. She had to whisper. "Miss Sarah," she said, her voice shaking, "your mother, she wasn't senile. Your father and Marcus told everyone she was losing her mind because she kept muttering numbers. But she was sharp. She told me, 'Make sure Sarah gets the painting. It's the key.'" "Key to what, Margaret?" "I don't know, but be careful. Marcus, he's tearing the study apart right now. He's looking for something." That night, I sat drinking cheap wine, staring at the canvas. Why was Marcus searching the house if he already owned everything? I walked closer to the painting. Those shapes, they weren't brushstrokes. They were deliberate. As an art restorer, I knew about steganography, the art of hiding data in plain sight. My eyes locked onto a dark corner of the painted forest. There were coordinates painted in a shade only visible up close, and next to them, a sequence, 1109, 1988. My birthday. My phone rang. It was Marcus. My gut told me not to answer, but I did. "What do you want, Marcus?" "Hey, sis." His voice sounded rush, frantic even. Gone was the arrogance from this morning. "I've been thinking, that painting, it has sentimental value to me. I want to buy it from you." "You literally just laughed in my face about it." I know, but I feel bad. "I'll give you $10,000. Cash. Right now." 10 grand for a worthless painting? Marcus was the cheapest person I knew. He wouldn't pay for a breath of air unless he could sell it for double. "Not for sale," I said, and hung up. 5 minutes later, a text. 50,000. 10 minutes later, 100,000. "Don't be stupid, Sarah." And then, "Open the door." I'm downstairs. My heart hammered against my ribs. He was here. He wanted the painting. And if he was willing to pay that much, this thing was worth millions. Or it was dangerous. I looked through the peephole. Marcus was standing there, disheveled, banging on my door. He wasn't alone. 2 large men in black suits stood behind him. "Sarah, open up! Mom left the wrong instructions. That painting is company property." I engaged the deadbolt and dragged my shoe rack in front of the door. I needed time. I grabbed an X-Acto knife and carefully sliced the paper backing of the frame. A thin envelope slid out. My mother's handwriting, shaky but precise. "My dearest Sarah, if you are reading this, your father and Marcus have shown their true colors. You always thought I was just a housewife who liked to paint. The truth is, I was the founder of Bennett Industries. Your father was just a salesman. I was the engineer. I invented the core chip, the heart of this empire, but they stole it. They forced me to sign over control when I was suffering from postpartum depression. And in recent years, when I developed a new technology, Project Aurora, they held me prisoner in my own home to force me to give up the blueprints. I didn't give them up. I hid them. This painting contains the coordinates to my secret lab. Go there. Take back what is yours. Do not let them win." Tears streamed down my face. My mother wasn't weak. She was a genius held captive, and my father and brother, they were her jailers. The banging got louder. "Break it down," I heard Marcus scream. I didn't have time to cry. I shoved the letter in my pocket, grabbed the painting, and climbed out the fire escape window. Thank God for second-floor apartments. I ran like my life depended on it. I threw the painting into the back of my beat-up car and sped off into the night, heading north, following the coordinates. They led to the Berkshires, a remote mountainous area 3 hours away. The whole drive, I saw the headlights of a black SUV in my rearview mirror. Marcus wasn't giving up. He knew where I was going, or at least, he knew I had the secret. I pulled onto dirt roads, killed my headlights, and drove in the dark. My years of solo camping trips saved me. I lost them. Dawn was breaking when I arrived. It was an abandoned farmhouse, overgrown with weeds. Following the instructions in the letter, I found a hidden storm cellar disguised as an old root cellar. A keypad was hidden behind a loose brick. The code? 110988. My birthday. The heavy steel door hissed open. I walked down. Motion sensor lights flickered on. It wasn't a root cellar. It was a high-tech laboratory. Servers were humming. The walls were covered in patents and schematics. And in the center of the room, a strange, glowing prototype device hummed with energy. This was Project Aurora. Clean energy technology that the whole world was desperate for. Bennett Industries claimed they were inventing it, but they had nothing. My mother was the source. "Nice work, sis." I spun around, my blood running cold. Marcus was standing at the entrance of the bunker, a gun in his hand, and standing next to him was my father. My father. He was supposed to have died in a plane crash 2 years ago. That's why the will was red. "Dad, you're alive?" I stammered, backing up against the control panel. "Fake death, sweetheart." He stepped in, dusting off his suit jacket. I needed to disappear for a while to avoid some tax investigations and to get your mother to let her guard down. I didn't think she'd be stubborn to the grave." "You killed her?" I screamed. "She made herself sick," Marcus shrugged. "If she had just given us Project Aurora sooner, she would have lived a comfortable life. Now give us the activation codes, Sarah." "Never," I said, my hand slowly reaching behind my back to the server keyboard. "Mom's letter mentioned an emergency protocol." "Don't be stupid," Dad sneered. "You have no way out. Give me the code and I'll give you some cash to disappear. Or—" He looked at the gun in Marcus's hand. "You know, Dad," I said, stalling, my fingers blind typing the command sequence Mom wrote in the letter. "My whole life I wondered why I wasn't good enough, why I was the outcast. Turns out it wasn't because I was weak. It was because I am like Mom, and you were terrified of her." "I wasn't scared of her," Dad roared. "She was my tool." "Is that right? Then why did you have to fake your death? Why do you sneak around like a rat?" I hit the enter key. A robotic voice filled the room. "Clarity protocol initiated. Uploading data." "What did you do?" Marcus lunged, but a tempered glass wall slammed down from the ceiling, sealing me inside the server area. It was Mom's panic room. "Where is that data going?" Dad screamed, pounding on the glass. I smiled, holding up my phone to show them the live stream. "It's not just where, Dad. It's who. This protocol just emailed every piece of evidence: the fake death, the tax evasion, the imprisonment of Mom, and the stolen patents, to the FBI, the SEC, the New York Times, and, oh look, it's currently live streaming to the Bennett Industries internal server. Your entire workforce is watching you right now." Marcus went pale. His phone started ringing uncontrollably. "Dad, the stock is free-falling. The police. Sirens. I hear sirens." Outside, the wail of emergency vehicles echoed. Mom's security system didn't just protect the lab. It alerted the authorities the moment unauthorized entry occurred. "Sarah, turn it off now," Dad begged, falling to his knees in front of the glass. "I'll give you half, no, everything. Take the company." I looked at the man who gave me life and the man who destroyed my mother. "I want justice," I said, my voice cold, "and I want you to pay for every tear she shed." The police stormed in. Marcus tried to run but was tackled. My father, the man the world thought was dead, was handcuffed and dragged away, looking terrified. Faking your death to evade taxes and commit fraud? That's a lot of prison time. I stood there in the glass box, watching them get hauled away. The painting, Autumn Twilight, was sitting on Mom's desk. The geometric shapes almost looked like they were smiling at me. The next 48 hours were a media storm. The Bennett Industries empire crumbled. The stock became worthless. But from the ashes, the truth about my mother, Eleanor Bennett, came out. She was hailed as the true genius inventor. Lawyers found a second secret will hidden in the data upload. She left the patents for Project Aurora and all intellectual property to me. As the legal owner of the technology, I took control of what remained of the company. I renamed it Eleanor Innovations. I fired the entire board, everyone who was complicit with my father. I used the profits from the new tech to start a foundation for female inventors who had been exploited. My father and Marcus? They are looking at life in prison. No lawyer would touch them with the mountain of evidence I released. Marcus sent me a letter from jail, begging for help. I replied with a photo, the worthless painting, hanging proudly in my new CEO office. Attached was a note. "You were right, Marcus. It wasn't worth $50. It was priceless." Sometimes the things people call trash hold the most value. My mother taught me that you should never underestimate the power of patience and intelligence. They had the money and the power, but they didn't have the truth, and the truth always wins. What do you guys think? Was I too harsh for sending my own father and brother to prison? Or did they get exactly the karma they deserved? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There are plenty more family secrets waiting to be told. Thanks for listening. And remember, cherish the small gifts. You never know when they might change your life. See you in the next video.